Welcome back to another edition of the Stars and Stripes Cricket Podcast presented by Sportsnection. And on this episode, we have the very first female cricketer chosen to play for USA out of the Pacific Northwest, out of the suburbs of Seattle, Washington. And she's an ambassador for Major League Cricket's Seattle Orcas as well. She's a trailblazer in a lot of ways, and now she's coming on the podcast for the first time. Jivana Aras. Jivana, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you, Peter, for having me. I've been watching, I saw a few clips and I was like, I wonder when he's going to ask me. So I've been waiting.
Well, the first question we asked off air is happy birthday, and how are you spending your birthday as a 22-year-old?
Um, well, thank you. I have cricket practice tonight, so that's what I'll be doing.
The journey to improve never ends, I guess. So, and part of the reason why you're practicing is the next thing you have on your docket of events is the first ever American Women's Premier T20 Cricket Tournament, which is going to be held over Easter weekend in Orlando, Florida, and you are going to be playing for the Freedom Flyers. So
Yes.
take us through how you became involved in this event and what your outlook is going into this event that's being held for the first time down in Florida.
Well, honestly, I got an email, but I have all my emails going to junk like immediately, so I'd have to go into my junk to find it. And I didn't see it at first. So I was getting texts from like Auntie from Texas and John, Aaron, he was texting me. I think Ganesh Uncle, he also texted me. He was like, "Hey, did you see the email?" And I was like, "What email?" So I ran to my email, found it, and then I was like, "Okay, I'll sign up. Hopefully I get on a team." I got on a team. And then that's where it went from there. Then I was like, okay, I need to start like getting my skills back into it. I took a little break, so it's like I need to start getting my fitness back, my batting, my bowling, just start playing again. And now I have 4.5 days until I leave. Yeah.
And you're playing in a pretty stacked squad. Your coach
Yeah.
is former USA Women's captain Sindhushree Harsha, and among the three teams, Freedom Flyers also has Lasya Malapudi and Chetnareddy Pagadiala, who has represented USA in addition to Mahi Madhavan and Pooja Shah and Ritu Singh. So about half the squad has got USA representative experience. What is it like for you being part of a lineup like that in this event?
I mean, well, I'm very excited. Like I know all the girls really well. Actually, I know the entire team pretty well. We've all played against and with each other. I'm really hoping all of us can just use our experience to, I mean, help ourselves and then also just help all the younger girls that are coming through. So I'm happy for that, but I'm also excited just to be able to play the game and build my own skills, my own confidence going into this season.
Take us back to how you got into cricket in the first place. I'm sure there is quite a few people who may not be aware of your story who are a bit curious. I know quite a bit about it, but basically it all traces back to COVID. This is a
Yeah.
lot of things were negative in COVID, but one of the silver linings, one of the positives we can thank for COVID is the fact that a lot of other sports were shut down in the Pacific Northwest. In particular, I believe it was soccer that was your main sport at the time.
Yeah.
And that opened the door for an alternative, and it's become your primary sport. So take us through how everything unfolded in terms of you coming to cricket as a late bloomer.
Yeah, so I think I just turned, or I was about to turn 16 when COVID hit, and that was 2020. And I remember because I think Washington had one of the first cases. We heard about it pretty early on, but we didn't know. Oh, we got the schools to be shut down for 2 weeks, so then everything unfolded until like a year, years actually. But my dad or one of his friends texted my dad right before COVID happened, being like, "Hey, there's the USA Women's like ID camp, and it's gonna be in Seattle. Like you should go try. Like why not? It'll be fun." So my dad was like, "Okay, no, we can try. It's in a month. We'll do everything we can. If you don't make it, you don't make it." Well, you've never really played the game. You've never watched the sport. So we started trying. It got postponed until August, I would say. But then we weren't sure if we were going to have it. So I kept playing all the way through. And then at that time, Julie Abbott was in charge of like all of these USA women's things. So we texted her. She was like, "You should fly to Texas because we don't know if anyone's going to show up for the Seattle one. So fly to Texas." So I ended up flying to Dallas, and that's where I met Snigdha Paul, like one of my best friends, and that's where I got into the USA system. So from there, I was playing. I went to the thing, and then end of the year, I got an email being like, "Hey, you made the U19 training squad," and I was like, "What?" And at that point, I haven't had played a game. Like I didn't play any games until 2021. So 2021 is when I played my first game, and that was I think April or March. And then right after that, we had all of USA interregionals and everything. And I think that's when I met you. So I met you pretty early. Like I think you're one of the first people, or my mom met you. Or yeah,
So your first organized hardball match, which is actually part of the U.S. Women's Under 19 trials.
no, it was a Seattle Youth Cricket League, and they're like, you should probably play some things because you're playing the sport. So I played one game. I think I played a total of 10 games before the USA Pathways started.
And that's for the seniors or the under 19s or both.
At this point, it was a mix for both because we split into U19 and seniors for nationals that year. So it was like combined.
And those were in Texas,
California.
or they were in California.
So
Okay.
the ID camp was 2020 August, and then interregional started 2021 July.
And that's where I met you. Would have been
And then that's where we met
in
in the Bay
Pleasant.
Area
Yeah, it was
at
in
like Central Park
Pleasanton.
or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So that's quite a whirlwind of events.
Yeah, a lot happened in those 2 years.
What
Learned
was
a new
the
sport, dropped a sport, made new friends.
what was it about cricket that made it so appealing for you to want to drop that other sport so quickly?
I guess I would say it was kind of quick, but I continued to play through high school. So I only played high school at the before COVID. I was playing club and school soccer, so I dropped club because I mean I still want to hang out with my friends, but I think I moved on from soccer quickly because I realized I just like challenges and I thought it was gonna be a fun challenge to take on. And then I met a lot of like amazing people like Snigdha, as I said, Mahika, Campanella. I met both of them like my first time ever playing with other people. So I think just like the camaraderie and just like meeting people and playing a game and having fun just really intrigued me, I guess.
The two names you just said, Snigdha Paul and Mahika Kandanala, were
Yeah.
based in Dallas.
Yes.
You're based in Seattle or the Seattle area.
Yeah.
And up until recently, and you've had a role in this, there have been
Yeah.
very few female cricketers coming out of Seattle. You're the first. So you didn't have any real role models or kind of even peers. Forget role models. There are no peers. If you wanted to play
Yeah.
with anybody, you were playing with your dad's team.
Yeah.
And I find that very interesting just from the standpoint of the challenge. You said you like challenges. So what was the most challenging aspect of that coming into cricket versus soccer, where everybody knows the success of the women's USA soccer team and historically all the World Cups they've won, and that's allowed the sport to mushroom over the last couple generations, so that there's no
Yeah.
shortage of girls you would need to find to play soccer with.
Yeah.
You're not going to have to be playing with men as a teenager. You're going to be, whether it's school or club or whatever, there's thousands and thousands and tens of thousands of girls in the Seattle area playing soccer. Much different with cricket. So what was that adjustment like for you?
When I was training at the park with my dad over COVID, we met a few other players that were a few dads and they had sons and they were much younger than me. I still see them occasionally, but they're like, we have a team. If you want to play, we play U15. So at that time, I was able to play U15, and I was like, I'll try. So that's where I played my first few games, and then right after that, like after that season, I transitioned over to the men's. But I think the hardest part was, I don't know, besides learning the sport and trying to like catch on to all the rules and everything as quickly as I could, I think just socially it was kind of different because I was so used to being surrounded by female athletes and then transitioning and then only playing with boys that were maybe like 4 years younger than me. Quite different, especially since I was in high school and everyone was like leaving elementary, maybe in middle school. I think that was one of the biggest transitions, but I also grew up with two older brothers, so I didn't really, it wasn't the worst, I guess, I would say, but I also did karate and that was with all boys, so I was kind of used to it, but they were also my age. So I think the biggest part was just having to deal with a bunch of younger kids. I won't say they were bad, but it was different.
Putting aside the cricket skill aspect of it, just socially, if
It's
you're
just
16,
socially, it was,
17 and you're playing with 13, 14-year-olds,
yeah,
that's a big difference.
it was
What
very big difference.
what was that like?
Well, I got the role of the mom on the team because I was making sure all of them are in check every game and not goofing off because like for me, I'm pretty competitive. And a lot of them just, I mean, they wanted to have fun. I let them have fun. But sometimes I was like, we have to do this, and this, guys. We're not doing this or this. So I felt like I was taking care of them to an extent, but I was like, it's okay. They're little. They'll get used to it. They're growing up. But yeah, I think that was the biggest thing. It was just like the maturity level was a little different, but now they've all grown up. It's quite nice to see all of them thriving in their own ways. Actually, I'm practicing with some of the kids that I played with back then tonight.
Did you have a different mentality yourself when you were playing with them versus when you were playing with your dad's team in club cricket because it was all adults, or when you were playing with other females your own age in kind of the U.S. women's setup? I mean, there's three very different ecosystems, very different atmospheres. How do you go between the three and still try and keep your goals aligned?
I'll start with the younger boys. I think my mentality there was try to lead. Maybe not in my skills way, but because I wasn't as good back then, but at least lead maturity wise and like show them like this is how we're gonna move with the team. This is what we're gonna do. Make sure we have a rhythm, like making sure we warm up, making sure we cool down and all of that. But then when it came to the girls, I mean all of them have been playing for so long, or a few years longer than I have. So I think that environment was just it was more relaxing, I would say. Yeah, it was competitive, but I felt like I didn't have all this weight of trying to take care of the team on me, but like just being part of the team and able to have fun, able to play the game. But then when it comes to the men, I mean, I'm the youngest there. I'm the only girl. My dad's there. I didn't really know anyone. Like it was, I don't really socialize with them as much. Oh, my laptop. But just because like they're my dad's age. So it was harder to socialize with them. I mean, I'll chit chat a bit, but when it comes to the men, I really do focus on like tuning my own skill and working on my own game and like mentally how I would go through an inning or trying to make a plan for bowling. So that's where I think I work the most with my skill. Unlike the girls where I'm like trying to show off my skill.
Essentially, 2021 is where you were playing your first competitive matches,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And you go through the interregionals and you're playing in Northern California. Basically, 18 months later, you're in the USA Women's Under 19 World Cup squad in South Africa.
Yeah.
Did it adjust or change your expectations in terms of, all right, this is not normal. This is not something that would happen if you were playing soccer, where you go from not playing representative soccer to now you're playing for the USA women's national soccer team, where Mia Hamm and
Yeah.
Abby Wambach and Megan Rapinoe and all these illustrious names, that would not happen in soccer,
Yeah.
but it's happened in cricket. So in terms of recognizing the opportunity that was there for you, while also knowing in your own head you're still learning a lot, you're still adjusting, you're still progressing in your own way. What were the things that were going through your mind over the course of those 18 months? And were you shocked or were you surprised that you got picked for USA having only started less than 18 months earlier?
Yeah, well, before World Cup, I think we went to St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and I remember getting the email, and I was like, "What? I made the team!" I was in shock because my dad and I were talking. We were like, "Okay, nationals happen. I don't think I'm gonna make the senior team. If I do, that would be like, whoa, like that would be the biggest shock of my life because I bowled okay at that nationals. I mean, I batted. I had that one game with Isani. We still bring it up to this day sometimes. But then like I was new. I didn't really know what was going on to an extent. But when I got that email saying I was gonna play U19, I was like, wow. Like, this is such a great opportunity. Did I realize what was actually going on at the time? I don't really think so. I think that only like clicked in my head maybe later on when we went to Trinidad, or maybe after that when we went to Dubai for the training camp in 2022, right before the World Cup. I think that's when I was like, oh my gosh, I'm actually representing the USA. Like the USA, like the country. Like that's a big deal. But then I didn't really think of it as like a big thing while like in the moment because I was like, oh my God, okay, it's just like another game with USA on my chest on the shirt. But I think everything really came together at the World Cup, not when I got there, but when I was leaving. Because when I was leaving, that I went to Cape Town with my family, and then we went back to Joburg. But when we were in the Joburg airport, we saw the big ICC Women's U19 World Cup, and I was like, I just played that. Like I just played a World Cup. Like that was me. I was on that squad, and then that's when it really hit that I was representing the country.
Did you ever dream of being able to play for USA in any sport when you were growing up?
Yeah, I did dream of playing soccer for the USA and attempting to go to the Olympics. But now the sport has changed. So cricket in the Olympics is in my goals list.
What did it mean to you to be able to represent USA when that realization came to you?
I was like, wow, the opportunities I have is like once in a lifetime, and I should probably make the best of it. And I really enjoy this, so I want to keep playing for USA. But yeah, I think that's really it. I mean, the realization was there, but I think it took a while, first of all. But I think once I realized I just wanted to keep going, but I guess the name of playing for USA wasn't really in my head. It was more like I want to play the sport until 2024. That's when I really was like, okay, I want to represent the US. But up until then, I just want to play the sport as high as I can, at the highest level as I can.
Before we go any further with Jivana Aras, I want to remind everybody that today's episode of the Stars and Stripes Cricket Podcast is brought to you by Sportsnection, the home of the first ever U.S. cricket trading card set, the Stars and Stumps series. Head to sportsnection.com to get your hands on limited edition items, including autographed cricket trading cards from up-and-coming USA men's stars such as Sai Mukamala, Sanjay Krishnamurti, Mohammad Mohsin, and Shubham Ranjane. Stars and Stripes Cricket Podcast listeners can use coupon code PDP2026 at checkout to get 20% off any online order. That's coupon code PDP2026. Sportsnection is not only American owned, but their cards are printed in the US of A in the great state of Illinois. Once again, that's Sportsnection, uniting athletes and fans through trading cards. You talked about touring Dubai, going to St. Vincent, Trinidad, playing the West Indies under 19 squad that was in Florida. Were you part of that or no? That was right around the time.
I got selected, but unfortunately, right after they released the team or they told us the team, I got COVID for the first time. So I got COVID and then I missed the Florida squad.
So COVID is the reason you got into cricket, and COVID is the reason you missed some important high-level cricket.
Yeah. I was really sad because I'd sit in my room and I'd watch the girls on my laptop. And I was like, I could have been there.
So you
Oh
were,
well.
this was, you got COVID while you were in Florida or before you left to go to Florida?
It was right before U19 nationals. So senior nationals and U19 nationals were like the same week. So we had a few games and then we had a 2 day break. And that 2 day break, I think, is when I tested positive for COVID. So then I missed U19 nationals and then missed the tour.
So this was after you had that partnership with Asani, which was, I believe, in
Yeah.
the senior
Yeah.
nationals, which
This
was
was, I think, the 2022 nationals
in Florida.
in Texas. We were playing at Musa Stadium that year.
Okay. So you miss that. Of all the things building up leading into the World Cup, though, you got quite a few opportunities. So there were quite a few indications that you were going to be picked for the World Cup squad.
Yeah.
What to you was the thing that you felt you needed to work on the most at that point in time as somebody still relatively new to the sport and as somebody who maybe perhaps didn't even have a clearly defined role yet because you were doing both things fairly well. You mentioned the partnership, the very big partnership you had with Asani Viguela, where I think I don't have the scorecard in front of me, but I think they were 70 for 7 your team was, and then the two of you batted for like 25, 30 overs
30-ish
in
overs. Yeah.
yeah, and stretched that game out and made it a much more competitive game than it looked like about an hour into the start of play.
Yeah.
And so you do that, so you show you got some batting prowess, and yet you are being given a lot more opportunities as a bowler perhaps than as a batter. And again, as somebody who was still raw and developing, how did you see yourself at that point in time, and where did you feel you were trying to focus your energies in terms of applying yourself and trying to maximize your talent?
For me, I think I really focused on my bowling at that time because everyone was like, you have so much potential as a bowler because I was so new. So they really telling me you should focus on bowling or like indirectly telling me you should focus on bowling. So I really worked on that. My batting, I mean, I practiced, but it wasn't like my main priority. And then fielding, I mean, fielding I worked on a little bit, but it's a bit harder here because all of our like grass fields have really like lush, thick when it rains, it's pretty wet. So wet grass. So fielding was always like something that, I mean, I practiced, but it wasn't like my biggest thing. I mean, I struggled with fielding for the longest time just because I didn't play like a hand sport ever growing up. So that was something I needed to work on, but I mostly focused on bowling. That was
I
like
find
my
it
biggest
interesting
thing.
that you say that a lot of people were kind of giving you a nudge, nudge to practice your bowling because bowling is the most unnatural athletic action that you can have across basically any
Yeah.
sport. Whereas batting, it's a stick and ball thing. If you play stick and ball sports
Yeah.
in a lot of other avenues, whether it's tennis or golf or baseball or softball, whatever, that can transfer in some way, shape, or form. Or lacrosse. I mean, there's no shortage of things, field hockey. But for somebody to say, no, 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 go bowl it, anybody who goes into bowling, you're starting from scratch because there's nothing that replicates it in any sport. What was the most challenging part for you in terms of trying to learn to bowl?
Oh, I don't know. I think the coordination of when I have to move my arms with my feet. I mean, I wasn't uncoordinated, but I think that was just the biggest like hurdle that I had to go through. Also, just strengthening my body to make sure I could take the load because I was so used to just soccer, you're running, you're kicking a ball. And I'm putting a bit of force, but not like, I mean, as you know, like our front leg, our landing, or our brace leg, it's mostly straight. And I'm not used to having that much of like my leg being that straight. So I really had to work on strengthening my knee specifically and my hamstrings and everything to make sure I was able to take the load bowling.
And what made you want to be a pace bowler as opposed to a spin bowler?
Oh, so this goes back to when I started cricket. So I watched the T20 World Cup that year, which was in Australia, and Elise Perry was playing. But I also knew Elise Perry from soccer when she was playing for Australia. So the connection there, I was like, oh my gosh, she plays soccer. She's a pace bowler. My dad was a pace bowler at one time when he was playing, so he knew what he was doing. So he kind of just helped me transition.
I love that. The fact that Elise Perry, the soccer player, channeled a bit of inspiration for you into be Elise Perry, the cricketer. And
Yep.
I'm curious how many other players in the women's setup would have come across Elise Perry's soccer career and seen her and been something that they would remember and think like, oh yeah, Elise Perry,
Yeah.
I want to be like Elise Perry, the soccer player. And then, oh, actually, she plays cricket too.
Yeah. It was something because I think when she played for Australia, we played the same position. So it was really easy to just be like, oh, she's like me, we're like the same. Yeah. And then I ended up meeting her when I went to Australia, actually,
This was just prior to Fairbreak.
after Fairbreak. So I went to Australia for 6 months. So I played a full season there, but this was after Fairbreak.
Gotcha. All right, I do want to ask about that a little bit later. But first, let's go back to the World Cup. Now, you go to the World Cup, the two warm-up games happen, and then you're on the bench for the entire tournament. And you get to play in the last game, but you don't bet, you don't bowl. You're giggling about this. It's you can giggle about it now, looking back on it. It
Oh,
wasn't funny at the time. So
no.
I'm curious though. You talk about you're learning all these things. You're new to cricket. You appreciate the fact that things are happening quickly. It's a little bit unusual to be ascending this quickly, but you're also aware of the fact that you're still learning, and other
Yeah.
players comparatively who've been in the system a lot longer are somewhere ahead of you, and you've been picked because, yes, you've shown some talent, but there's also kind of a picture of you're a long-term project. You're not quite finished yet. So,
Yeah.
taking that into consideration, what were your expectations going into that World Cup in terms of a role that was either identified for you or you identified for yourself versus what actually came to pass?
I think going into the World Cup, I expected to play one game. And I think that's all I expected to play. Like one official game, not counting the practice matches. Because practice matches, we knew everyone was going to get rotated, everyone was going to be playing. So I didn't want to count those. But as my role, I think I said I was going to go in as a bowler. But I think that year we had multiple bowlers. I think Suhani, Isani, Gitu, me, Pujasha, Snigdha. I mean, I think I'm pretty sure like six of us are all pace bowlers. So it was really best of the best. We'll go. The more experienced girls are probably going to play. And at that time, I think, I mean, I was doing well, but my consistency, I think, was the biggest thing. And then my batting wasn't as strong as some of the other girls. I think that's what kind of just put me on the side. But yeah, I think those were the biggest things, my consistency and then my batting and fielding.
So you expected you might only get to play one game.
Yeah, and the game that I expected to play actually was Australia game.
You don't get to play that game. That would have been in the group stage. But
Yeah,
you wind up playing the last game of the tournament, which was against Scotland, who USA had played against in one of the warm-up matches ahead of the tournament, one of the official warm-up matches anyway.
yeah,
You did not get a chance to bowl in the warm-up match. You did bat
yeah,
low down the order in the second innings of that match.
yeah. I
But
remember.
what was the mentality or I guess expectation for you when you did go into the field and took part in the official match that was at the end of the losers bracket in the World Cup?
I didn't have any expectations. I was like, just go out there and have fun if I get bowling, show them what I can do, show them my best potential. If I have the chance to bat how I want. But I really didn't hold any expectations over myself. I was like, it's the last game. Just go have fun. You're at the World Cup. That's all I thought, really. There wasn't much to it.
And did you have fun?
Yeah, I definitely had more fun, I think, off the field than on the field.
I mean,
Or
just
like on
honestly,
the side, I
it's
guess.
challenging. That's not easy to go through that experience as
Yeah,
somebody who you get picked, you're excited, you've got all this energy that you want to showcase yourself, and it's a big platform, and you've got your family there. A lot of the players have traveling family members, so your parents were
yeah.
there, and I believe at least one of your brothers was there for
My
part of the
brothers were
tour.
both there. Yeah.
Yeah. So that itself adds a little bit of pressure and almost some level of expectation that, ooh, my parents, my brothers have come all this way, and they're not just coming all this way to hang out with me off the field. They want to see me on the field as well, and that obviously didn't really happen throughout the tour. So
Yeah.
just how do you go through that and process that in terms of just not getting discouraged? Because some people, you said yourself, hey, I wasn't expecting to play. I was one game is I would have been happy with one game. You recognize where the other players were at in comparison to you at that point in time. But I know for sure on the men's side, people who have gone through that experience in a similar way, regardless of where they're at in the journey, that can be a career-ending experience where they just say, "Hey, you know what? I don't want to play anymore." I mean, and I'll just say from my own experience, and I've talked about this on a previous episode with another podcast guest, different standard, but that is something that I experienced in some way, shape, or form in Little League Baseball. I played up until the age of 11, and I made my league all-star team. I was the best player on my team, and I'm getting picked to play for the league all-star team on the pathway to the Little League World Series, and I've got these dreams of like maybe I'll get to Williamsport, Pennsylvania, and be on ESPN and all that. And I didn't appreciate at that point in time that not only was I the best player on my team, but everybody else who was picked for the league all-star team was the best player on their team too within the league, and we're all the best players in the teams. And somebody has to sit on the bench. So, some people are going to get to play, some people are going to sit on the
Yeah.
bench. And I sat on the bench. I mean, the rule was everybody had to play at least two innings. That was the mandatory rule. But
Mhm.
as somebody who thought, hey, I was the God's gift to mankind on my baseball team, suddenly being told, hey, you're going to be on the bench, that was a tough pill to swallow. And what made it frustrating for me in particular was, and this is not something that's exclusive to baseball or exclusive to cricket, but the coach's
Yeah.
son, magically, the coach's son on the team was the starting shortstop, even though he had probably the weakest arm of anybody on the 15-man roster. And I'm thinking, hold on a second, what's going on here? Why is this kid getting to start when he can't really throw? He can hardly throw from short to first. He can barely throw from short to home on a relay. I know I can. My arm. I can throw from the outfield to home plate. I've got a much stronger arm. Why am I being denied opportunities here? And I went out of that experience and said, you know what? If this is what's in store for me in the future, the politics of it are something I'm not ready to play ball with. So I'm just gonna stop. And I stopped. And that happens in cricket. That's happened with plenty of players in the men's under 19 team, and even before that World Cup. The example of Lisa Ramjic,
Yeah.
who had been playing consistently for the women in the senior team. And just a couple months earlier, she was in Dubai or Abu Dhabi for the senior women's T20 World Cup qualifier.
Yeah.
Doesn't get picked for the under 19 World Cup, and she just quits the sport entirely and goes off and enlists in the military. So that's the way some people react. I reacted that way. Lisa Rancher reacted that way. There's other people who have
Yeah.
reacted that way. You approached it entirely differently. Why?
So right after the World Cup, I actually flew from South Africa to Australia because I was invited for Fairbreak 11. So that was my first Fairbreak experience. So I went South Africa, Fairbreak, played all those games. So I played every single game that was there. And I think that really helped me just get back in the mindset that I do have these opportunities and like my entire life should not revolve around sports sometimes, but I think that opportunity just really helped me like realize that I do have this potential and I do have like this great setup around me to help me reach what goals I have in mind. But so I didn't really take, I mean, I took it to heart. I definitely took it to heart. I remember crying after the World Cup. I was like, I didn't get any opportunities, this and this and this. And then I was like, wait, I'm going to Australia and I'm playing against a state team. I'll be okay.
You've made the most of those opportunities. I mean, the fact that you went to
I did.
Australia and you talked about you got to later on meet with Elise Perry and you're playing in
Yeah.
club cricket for a season in Australia and you've progressed more and more. What, in particular, if there was a lesson learned from that experience in South Africa, whether it was on the field, off the field, mentally, in terms of how to approach adversity in that way, what is the thing that you would say you learned most?
Oh, that's a hard question, Peter. Okay. I think the biggest thing that I learned coming out of the World Cup was to keep my chin high. I remember Joan, she was our manager, one of our managers, her and John. I remember, I think I burst out into tears in the lobby on the way to a game. And I was like, what am I doing? And she was like, just keep your chin high. Don't let them see your tears. Like, you're going to be strong enough to get through this. You'll have more opportunities later. So I think that was the biggest thing that I took away.
You have gotten those opportunities. So for anybody who's watching this, who's going through a similar experience, all you got to do is look at Jivana Aras. There's your role model in terms of how to overcome adversity. And you talked about it. You went to Australia later in the month of January. So the last World Cup match was January 20th against Scotland. And you
I
went
think
from,
I left on the 30th, flew out to Australia then, and then played 2 weeks in February, first 2 weeks.
so yeah, there was like a fair break organized event. It wasn't official fair break in terms of fair break event. That was
Yeah.
in Hong Kong, but there was a fair break kind of adjacent event that you were part of
Yeah.
in Australia that I believe was in Canberra or somewhere in New
I was
South
in
Wales.
Canberra.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you were part of that, and then you get invited to take part in the full-fledged fair break, which was in April of
April.
2023. You were in the Sapphires squad. That is a team that included Gabby Lewis, the current Irish captain, Babette De Leede, who was one of the stars of the Dutch team, Catherine Siever-Brunt, Tash Farrant, Sanamir was your captain. Shubnam Ishmael as well. Gitiku Kadali was also a member of that squad. So you were surrounded by some pretty high profile names in the Sapphires.
Yeah.
What was that like just entering that environment with all those names? Was it intimidating? Were you excited? Were you nervous? I mean, take us through what it was like before you got there and what your kind of mindset was.
First of all, my flight's on the way there. It got canceled. So then we had to postpone it a day. But that was a perfect start to going to Hong Kong. No, it wasn't. But um, I got there, and I think the first person I messaged was Aditi because Aditi was on our team. I was like, "Bah, I'm here. I'm nervous, and we have an event to go to with everyone, and there's such like big name people here. Like Daunton was there, like Phoebe Litchfield, right before she debuted for the Australian team was there. I mean, all these players are, I mean, they're incredible. Like we watch them on a daily basis. I've seen all their play, but I remember both of us just being really nervous or a bit nervous, really excited to meet everyone and then just excited to play. But I think in my head, I was like, I'm jet lagged. I just need to get through this, meet everyone and sleep. That was the first day. But then after that, I was super excited. I mean, I had nerves. Like Shovna Mesma was like one of the fastest bowlers in the women's game. Catherine Silverbrand, she was there. Nat was also there. So I met both of them. It was just amazing. And then Sana was just an amazing captain as well. And she trusted that I would do well the games that I got to bowl.
When you say she trusted you would do well, you took 4 for 32 in the
Yeah.
second match you played, and one of those 4 wickets, Laura Wolvaart, South African star. Take us through that moment.
I knew what I was going to bowl. I was like, I'm just going to go middle stump. And hopefully she doesn't step out and hit it. I think she stepped backwards or tried to step out and she missed the ball completely. My eyes lit up. And I looked at Babette because she was keeping it. And I was like, I just did that. But yeah, and then I remember running to Aditi because we gave each other the biggest hug that wicket. Because it was, I remember I look up and I see Babette, and then Aditi was at third man. So I saw her second. We just ran straight to each other. And I was the most excited person in the world, I think, at that moment.
What did that do in terms of your overall confidence, not just within that match, but going forward, that you're capable of getting somebody out at that caliber?
Well, during the game, I was just confident going in because I was like, I bowled three balls and I already got a wicket. Like, this is the dream start. But after that, I like looked her up and I was like, okay, what are her stats? What are her standings? I was like, number three ODI player in the world. This is a big deal. And then I realized at that point, I was like, okay, if I can get her out, I can probably get like anyone else out.
I like that. Yeah, there's a lot of players who would go with the cliche, oh, I just bowled the ball and I don't think about stats or anything. You're like, no, I got the number 3 player in the world out. I know
I
exactly
think,
who I got out. I'm not gonna pretend that I don't know what I just did.
yeah, I've actually had a few kids because I've coached and they're like, we saw the video. You got Laura Wolver out. That's like the biggest thing ever. And a lot of this actually happened right after the T20, or I think it was the ODI, the World Cup where she played and she hit 100. And I think the semifinals, it was right after that game. All these kids were like, you got her out? Like, what? And I was like, yeah, I got her out, guys. No big deal.
No big deal. No pressure
But
going
it was a
forward.
big deal. Yeah, it was really funny.
What else do you remember about that Fairbreak event in Hong Kong?
I remember getting smacked by Susie Bates and Shamari Atapatu. They were batting together, and that was probably the scariest moment of my life.
Brought you back down to earth pretty quickly.
Yeah, that was the game before actually I took the forfeit. So my first over, I think my first ball was to Susie Bates, overpitched straight back.
None for 22. Yeah, it was the
Yeah,
previous game. None for 22.
yeah,
And Susie Bates, 42 not out off 30 balls. And Shamari Atapatu, 75 not out off 44 balls, 7 4s and
yeah.
6 6s.
I think the most
So,
unfortunate part was we took a fielder from square leg, put her deep. The ball we did that, she chipped it up straight to square leg. And I was like, man, if I had that fielder there, I could have gotten her out.
well, you're saving your better delivery for the next match, I guess, against Laura
I
Wolfhard.
did.
Going through those the valleys and peaks, I guess, if you're going to put it in the proper order. What did you learn, I guess, from that first match, that exposure that you got to then go forward from there? I mean, was it a case of simply like it can't get worse than this? I'm getting absolutely bashed around by two of the best players in the world, so everything else from here is it can only go up, or what was kind of your attitude coming off that first match?
I think that first match, I was very, very nervous because I was seeing all these like incredible batters. I was like, I know Susie Bates and I know Tamari, they're big hitters. So after that, I was like, okay, can't really get worse, as you said. I just have to really focus for this next game and make sure I hit my lines and my lens and everything. And then I did that and I got a four for. And as you wrote, I probably should have gotten a five for, but
But
I
what?
remember that very well.
But what? But what? Take us through it. What happened?
I remember Tara, she was walking out, but then I was bowling and I think my foot kind of went off. And then I was thinking about it. I was like, should I just do it? And then I didn't do it. The monk.
Well, yeah, you had, yes, for people who
And I
aren't
had
aware,
all the time in the world too. And then I looked at Tara and I was like, man, I should have done it.
for people who didn't see it, don't remember it, and I don't know if the footage is available on YouTube, you had a chance to man cat Tara Norris, a potential
Yep.
USA teammate. You had not played with her before as a USA
Yeah.
teammate,
That
but
was my first time meeting her on the field right then.
would have been a great introduction. Say, hey, hi, Tara. I show no mercy. This is
Yeah.
how we do it with the Sapphires. You need
Yeah.
to be on your toes with the Barmy Army because that's who Tara Norris was playing for in that event. Why didn't you?
Oh no, it just like didn't click in my head that I could do that because at that point I didn't remember if I knew the rules, if I had to like give a warning or not give a warning. So I was really confused. And I remember after that we had a meeting the next day and we're like, okay, so we're not gonna do this. I think it was a team meeting. We're like, this is the situation we may or may not be doing this. I don't think the opportunity came for anyone after that, so it didn't matter. But
I mean,
I remember
of all the memorable things that have happened in Fairbreak, that would have been the most memorable moment in Fairbreak history if you had Mancat and Tara Norris.
probably, and I remember that was
As
right before
as
interest.
wonderful as that wicket of Laura Wolvard was, a lot of people would have remembered
That would
you
have been funnier.
far, far more, yeah, if you had Mancat and Tara Norris.
I think the funny part was all these like uncles from the Bay Area for intros, right before intros, were like, she should have done it, she should have done it. Intros came around and I did it to them. So to their daughters. And they're like, okay, why are we doing this? Just hold the ball. And I was like, I'm practicing. You told me to work on it, so I'm working on it.
That happens in April
Yes.
of 2023, and then officially your senior team debut comes in September at the regional qualifier, the Americas qualifier, that was held in Los Angeles on home soil against Argentina. To be able to make your senior team debut, basically 8, 9 months after the Under 19 World Cup, and to do it in California, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe at least your mom was there, maybe both parents were there. To be able to have your debut on a home soil, take a wicket, you took 1 for 8 and 2 overs in that win against Argentina. What was the most special part of that experience for you in your senior team debut?
I know at that point Charlotte was our coach and she really was like, go out there, kiddo, have fun. And I was like, I'll do that. I'm gonna go have fun and I'm gonna get a wicket. I was so determined because I remember watching the regionals qualifiers from the previous year. And I was like, everyone took a wicket their first game. And I was like, I also have to take a wicket my first game. So I really kind of put pressure on myself to make sure I got that wicket. And I knew Sindhu knew that I wanted to take a wicket. So she was like, once you get your wicket, we're just gonna play the game, but you're getting that wicket. But that's all I remember really. I was so determined to get it. And then I got it. And then I was extremely happy. But then I remember batting. I went in last ball non-striker. Gitu and I were there. We ran 2 runs, I think. Unless you got it, I don't remember. But I remember we were like, I was just like, run. I need to let all my energy out before
Literally, it was you were out there for one ball, yeah, at the
I was
non-striker
out there
zone.
one ball on the non-striker zone. So I didn't get to make my batting debut at that point.
As simple as something like that is, how much did that help ease some of the nerves that you had going into that day?
I don't think I had many nerves. I mean, I had nerves, but I feel like I don't know. I think I was more excited than anything to even play. But I think it just helped me like relax into the seniors team.
I don't know if I've ever asked this of another player before, but your mom, your parents, they're pretty regular presence at the matches you've played. Are you somebody who, over the course of your life, whether it's soccer, cricket, or anything else, do you feel like you play better when your parents are around, or are you like, oh God, they're here. I hope I don't screw up. They're gonna make me nervous.
I don't know. Because sometimes when they're there, I kind of forget they're there. But when they're not there, I don't realize that they're not there. I think I just zone everything out that I don't really notice until after. And then I get the call being like, hey, we should probably work on this and this and this next time. Or a good game or something like that. We just have a little chit chat after, but I don't really notice in the moment. But it does help. I do like their presence there.
Since then, you were part of the women's qualifier squad that went to Abu Dhabi in April 2024. Then you played two ODIs
Mhm.
against Zimbabwe. Two ODIs, one T20 against Zimbabwe. So two of those were in Zimbabwe, and then the T20 was in Dallas in April 2025. And then last year, you were also on the tour to the Netherlands that the USA women had. It's been a lot of rain in those events, including in Abu Dhabi. You were there for the famous flood of 2024, the
Yeah.
once in every 78 years flood in Dubai and Abu Dhabi.
Yeah,
What has been the most memorable thing for you off the field and all the experiences that you've gotten to do in terms of traveling around the world?
that's hard. Okay, I'm gonna begin to two things, USA and then not USA. Everything else. USA, I don't know. We've done so much. Like we went to Dubai, we rode camels, and I remember I think they gave us like a giant discount because at that point Shiv Chandrapal was our coach and they recognized Shiv, and I was like, oh my gosh, he's getting us discounts everywhere. Oh, I think that tour too, we saw the England's men's team. So we got to meet some of the boys. I don't remember who I met, but I met some of the pace schoolers when we were there. We were all in the same hotel and they saw us walk out with our little kits and they had all of their England stuff just like laid out extremely neat and all of us were like, we wish that was us. I think that was one of the funniest parts. But I think anything in Dubai, we've had a lot of fun. But then outside of USA, Australia, it was heaven. There was rain, but it was sunny. I got to go to the beaches. I made friends there. We hung out all the time, and then I got cricket on top of it. So
Now, where were you in Australia when you were playing there? I believe you were in New South Wales or Sydney
Sydney,
Club Senior.
yeah. I was
And
in Sydney from that
and
time.
which club are you with youth?
I was playing for Sydney Cricket Club. We were playing, so our home field was Drummoyne Oval, which is in Drummoyne, which is right outside the city of Sydney. But my host family also was part of Sydney Cricket Club, so we'd go together to practice and everything.
You don't get that kind of experience in Seattle. What was that like? Just the social element of that?
Well, I personally really enjoyed it. So the first time when I went to Canberra, we did a road trip up to Sydney, and then they connected me, the Fairbreak, or some of them connected me with Gavin, who used to be the New South Wales women's coach.
Kevin Twining?
Yes, it was Gavin Finey, yeah. But he helped me, and then I had a session with the U19 New South Wales girls, and then I met some girls there. So when I went back to Sydney and stayed there for 6 months, I was able to connect with them. We just had a blast, and then I ended up playing against some of them and with them. So that was so much fun.
What was it like from the standpoint of just being able to play cricket with other girls on a weekly, weekend basis over the course of 5, 6 months compared to maybe getting a chance to play like once every 2 months with all girls in the US?
It was the weirdest thing. I was used to it, but I wasn't used to it. I was like, wow, I'm really playing a full season with only girls. First of all, no men. I didn't have to worry about concrete pitches. I'm playing on natural turf every week, every weekend. Our games gonna be on turf. Our practices are on turf. Elisa Healy's dad was one of the coaches. I just had like probably the best time. I mean, Elisa Healy, she played for that club, and I mean her name, I mean, it's Elisa Healy. Like you can't get bigger than that. It was just incredible. and the talent that they have and just like all the games and the exposure that I got was really helpful.
Well, just from that standpoint, I mean, this is, I don't know if it's unique to Australia, but it's definitely different from the US climate in terms of the women's ecosystem, where the club cricket
Yeah.
is a forum where you have big names that are
Yeah.
part of the club, and that's like that on the men's side too. But with women's cricket, I believe Tara Norris, when she was in Australia playing a club cricket season a few years ago, she was playing against Meg Lanning, but it was in a club cricket match, and that wasn't like special. It was like, oh, well, of course Meg Lanning plays club cricket. Why wouldn't she be playing club cricket?
Yeah.
And in any way, just seeing people in that echelon, whether it's the New South Wales under 19 girls or other players who may have been part of the New South Wales setup who are playing Sydney Cricket Club matches. In what way did that and just the way people are treating them? And it's like they're not like, oh my God, it's an Australia player. It's I don't know. This is just a person I play club cricket with. This is
I don't know. I'll
like
give
any other
credit
player.
to the Australian girls. They're just so humble and down to earth that it doesn't really make a difference. Everyone's joking around, everyone's just playing, everyone's having a good time. Everyone's very humble. So there's like another person.
Did that help put you at ease when you were playing there?
It definitely did. I think I was so nervous. I was like, I'm coming from USA. I don't know if they have any expectations of me, but I have to put like a good foot forward. So yeah, I mean, I already knew some of the girls, so I was already pretty relaxed. And I knew who was playing because when I went the first time, I did have a training session with these girls once. But I mean, I think that really helped ease my nerves. And the coaches knew who I was, and everyone was just very, very, very welcoming. But now, when I went to train with the New South Wales team, that was a little different. I was very nervous and scared because I walked in. First person I see, Elise Perry. I look to my left, Ashley Garner. To the other side, Phoebe Litchfield. Like all the big names were there, and I was like, oh. And then I turned around because South Africa was visiting, and then I saw the entire South African women's team there, and I was like, oh my gosh, there are so many people here, big names here, and I'm here from the US.
Did, did you go up to Elise Perry and tell her, "Hey, I used to watch you play soccer"?
No, we were in the gym. I was doing something, she was doing something, and then we turned and we just said hi. We're like, how are you doing? And that was it. We continued with our workouts. And then like 20 minutes later, Mitchell Stark walked in. So I was a little shocked.
It's
I
just
did not
another
say hi to him though.
it's just another guy coming in
Just
to
another guy.
lift weights, just like everybody else there. They're just doing their exercise. They're doing
Yeah,
their fitness routine now. No biggie.
no biggie. I think Pat
Have,
Cummings was also there at that time because I think there's WB or BBL was going on, so everyone was in the area at that time.
you bring all these things up. I'm curious. Have you ever gotten any opportunities to do any side-by-side activities with any USA men's players at a regional or national level?
Shadley's here, so I'll pick his brain a bit. He's usually in his coaching mood whenever I see him. So, and I'm usually in my I'm gonna go practice mode. So I usually just ask him questions, figure out what I should do because he's also lefty righty, so it helps. But it's not really like a big thing. I'm just like I've known you since I've started. You've seen me grow into who I am now. So
Do you know how to say Shadley's name?
Shadley Van Skelwick.
All right. So you do know him well.
I do. I'm close with him and his family.
We talked about the Australian closeness and again having all those players kind of side by side in the ecosystem. What has it meant having Shadley Van Skalkvik as somebody you can go to, whether it's for advice or just to observe and see him go about the way he coaches or does his own training? Because you're somebody who has started to do a lot more coaching, trying to help mentor younger girls. So seeing him and what he does and try and whether it's pick his brain or just observe what to do, what not to do, things you want to pick up, things you want to do yourself that are different in your own way and how you develop your own coaching style. What has it been like having him to look and have as a role model?
I mean, I think it's been great. I mean, we just have this like bond, like every other player coach, and then player, and then USA, USA. But I think we just bounce off each other for ideas. Like he'll be like, "Hey, I have this idea for a drill," and he's like, "Can you be the guinea pig and try it out for me?" And I'm like, "Okay." So I'll try some of his drills, and then I'm like, "I have this group of little kids, and I don't know what I'm gonna do because they just go through everything so quickly and they do everything so well. I need like more ideas." So he'll give me ideas. We'll just feedback back and forth. But I think the way he just goes around his coaching, he's like a tough love type of coach, and that's kind of how I am that way with all the girls that I coach. All of them could probably say that. Sometimes I bully them a little bit into getting their work done, but and he does too, and I realize that. But I think I fall in his lead a little bit when it comes to coaching.
Has he gotten a big head since he's come back from the World Cup, taking those 13 wickets, or is he still the same Shadley?
He's still the same Shadley. He's so humble. It's really funny, actually. He's like, oh yeah, I did that. But no, we have thing, this event for all the people that have gone to the World Cup. So the U19 World Cup, one of the coaches for the U19 World Cup projects, also Seattle, Rishi for the senior men's, Shadley, and then we have two players that played for the women's blind cricket World Cup. So we're having like a big event for them on Sunday.
As somebody who, when you first started, you didn't have a coach, you didn't have a female coach in your area to look
Yeah.
up to, and now you're filling that void to try and be there for the next generation when you didn't have that to go to. What has that experience been like for you over the last several years?
I think I started coaching in 2022. That was my first time coaching, and I coached a girls' camp. And I think it's just been so, I don't know how to explain it. It's just like, it makes me feel all warm and fuzzy inside. I'm like, I gotta be a coach for all these younger girls coming through, and they get to play with other girls. And that's not something that I got. So I'm really excited for all of them. Do I get a little jealous sometimes? Yeah, occasionally. I'm just like, man, I wish I had this. But then I'm also like, okay, well, I kind of pioneered this, so now it's my time to give back to all of them, make sure they get what they need and all the support and everything. But I treat all of them like my little babies. They're all like my little sisters, the older ones. Actually, one of the girls texted me. She goes, "Happy birthday. I'm so happy you're in my life. Like, you're such a great mentor, and I'm so happy you're my cricket coach," and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, I'm touched. But yeah, I'm just trying to make sure they get the exposure and the opportunities that they need to develop as players.
The fact that they're reaching out to you and doing that makes you feel loved and like what you're doing is actually having an impact. And
Yeah.
as you said, makes you feel warm and fuzzy inside.
Yeah. But I think it was just me at first. But now I think we have like 100 girls playing leatherball cricket from the age of like 5, I think is the youngest, and then me, and then some elders, but which is pretty good, I would say. It's only been 4 or 5 years, and we've grown a lot.
Well, Giovanna, and they might be coming after you pretty soon. Are you digesting that part of it as well? They could be coming to take your spot.
Yeah, I told them, and then someone told me that, and I was practicing with them the other day. They're like, "I'm gonna make it." And I was like, "Okay." And then I bounced her, and then she was like, "Never mind." I was like, "Okay." I humbled them a little bit.
We've talked about the ways you've been a pioneer in terms of the Seattle area and being one of the first or the first female player who's been picked for USA, whether they're on 19 level or at senior women's level. Another way, I would argue that you're a pioneer. This is not going to be too surprising for anybody who pays attention to cricket around the USA, but your mom is of Korean heritage, Korean American heritage, and
Yep.
as far as I know, you're the first person of East Asian heritage to be playing for USA.
Yeah.
Your dad's of Indian heritage, but your mom's Korean American.
Yep.
And from that standpoint, what, if anything, does that do in terms of how you approach things and being a role model in that way and a trailblazer in that way?
I don't like say it. I mean, I do say it all the time, but like being part East Asian is kind of like the minority in the cricket world. So I kind of represent that part just because not many East Asian countries are recognized or people don't know they have cricket teams. Actually, I think a year or two ago, I think the men's captain from the Korean team reached out to me. He was like, "Hey, would it be possible if you like came out to Korea and just like helped or something?" And I was like, "Okay, I'll see what I can do." Haven't been yet, but I think more and more people are recognizing it because I'm looking at all these kids coming and I'm like, wow, it's becoming more diverse slowly, but there's a lot more diversity than a few years ago when it was just mostly South Asian influenced.
And that's specifically Seattle. I mean, Seattle
I mean,
from
in
for
Seattle because I don't really know about like anywhere else
right,
because I don't see it
right.
firsthand like every day, but that's what it is here.
Seattle traditionally has had a fairly sizable Japanese American community, and there is
Yes.
some other East Asian influence from that standpoint. Did you have that or observe that in the soccer community when you were growing up?
Not really, because every team I played on was just so diverse. There's people from like everywhere coming in. I mean, I can't really pinpoint anything like, because every single team, there's just like everyone had a different culture. Everyone was like a different ethnicity. So I never really experienced it during soccer. But when it came to cricket, I was like, oh, I'm very much in the Indian community right now, but I hope we can get more diversity
I guess that's what I
at
mean.
some
So,
point.
so like in soccer, it was normalized
It
that
was
you're
very normal.
you're not the exception to the rule.
No, it was very, very normal.
But in cricket, obviously, it's very different.
Not as normal. It's getting there slowly, but yeah.
Do you have any kids that you're coaching who come from East Asian heritage?
Over the summer camps that I did, there was a few. They were mixed, but they did have some East Asian in them. And I remember they saw me, they're like, "Are you Japanese?" And I was like, "No, but you're close." He was like, "I'm Japanese. I'm half Japanese." I was like, "It's okay. I'm half Korean." So we had a little bonding moment. It was really cute. He's like 5 years old. And so there was a few of them, but I think they were just really excited. They're like, oh, "Wow, I'm not the only one." But then they did have an English side, so I guess the cricket came from that part. But
No,
yeah,
but I mean, just saying that, I mean, in one way, it might sound a little goofy, like, oh, this 5-year-old kid is looking up to me and
yeah,
saying this, and it's well intentioned. But in a big picture sense, that is important. I mean, the fact
it
that
is.
literally just having people that you can identify with and say, oh, like so and so is doing this. Oh, I can see myself doing that one day too.
Yeah,
Does that register with you when that's happening in the moment, or are you just thinking about just
that
good for
one
everyone?
I do register pretty quickly, just because I mean my generation at least is more diverse, and I feel like more mixed. There's more mixed like humans in this world, but I mean when I was growing up, I didn't really have that representation of a South Asian, East Asian mix, but I'm happy I'm able to provide that for like someone else. Even if it's only half East Asian or they're mixed with something else, they have someone they can look up to. And I do recognize that one. I knew exactly why he was saying everything in that moment. I was like, yep, we're the same. We're different, but we're the same.
I mean, and also, I didn't follow it up immediately, but I find it incredible that you said the Korean men's captain reached out to you.
Yeah. I was in shock. I was like, is this a scam or not? And then I looked at his account because I didn't see his account at first. And then I looked at it. I was like, oh, okay. And then I looked him up on Cricinfo or something. I was like, okay, this is legit.
Well,
But
he was
then,
asking for cricket tips. He wasn't asking for your bank account to help transfer money.
no, he was like, hi, Jivana. I noticed like you're part Korean and you play cricket for the USA. Whenever you're able to like come out, like it would be great if you could come out help with like the women's team in Korea. And then I said, yeah, I would love to do that. And then he responded, and then I responded, then I forgot what happened. We faded off. But
But
yeah,
just the
I would
fact
love
that
to go.
yeah, something like that happened. I mean, does that hit you in the sense of like, oh wow, maybe I'm making a bigger impact than I thought I was, or oh, this is not something I was expecting, or what goes through your mind when you have that kind of interaction with somebody halfway across the other side of the world?
I think in the moment when I got that text, I was like, what is going on? Like, why are you reaching out to me? And then I was like, I'm half Korean. The Korean part's connecting right now. They also probably like USA cricket is more developed than the Korean cricket. Oh, I'm assuming. I don't know. But I was like, okay, maybe they just want someone a little bit of a higher caliber than their women's team and just go and help that also understands the culture. So I think that's where they're coming from.
What's it going to take to get you over to Korea to help make that happen? Follow through on the contact.
Time. That's it. I'll go. I love Korea. It's so much fun, but I get to visit family while I'm there.
What else do you hope to achieve over the course of the next few years in particular? I know you've got this event coming up over Easter weekend. You haven't played for the USA Women since last summer. I know one of the things that you're hoping to do is try and break your way back into the team through something like this. Big
Yeah.
picture, what do you still hope to do, or do you have a checklist or targets of things that you want to accomplish that you haven't yet done?
Be on the USA squad. Obviously, that one's there. Get back on, make sure I'm proving myself again, like mentally just confident going into it, make sure I work my skills. I can't really say much for how many opportunities we'll get this year, just because of everything that's been going on. But I think overall, bigger picture is the Olympics. I mean, as I said, I've always dreamed of going to the Olympics since I was little. Maybe not for cricket, it was soccer at the time. But now I've changed sports, and now I want to go for the 2020 LA Games, represent the US playing cricket.
What would it mean to you? Forget about the cricket aspect of it. Would it mean to you to be able to go to the Olympics and just take part in all the stuff that is associated with the Olympics and that kind of overall festival, whether it's something as simple as walking into the LA Coliseum for the opening ceremony or anything else that's associated with the Olympics?
I think it would just be so surreal. I think my emotions would take over the minute I like land and be like, oh my gosh, I'm with the best athletes like in the world, and I'd be able to beat so many people and so many athletes. I think I'd just be so excited. I mean, it's the Olympics is like the sporting event in the world. So just being able to be there representing USA, I think would be just an honor and a great achievement.
Growing up in America, for me at least, that was my
Yeah.
dream. I would love to play in the Olympics. Forget the sport. I don't care what sport. Just to be able to say I went to the Olympics or played in the Olympics.
Yeah.
And for me, it would be a dream to cover the Olympics now that I'm well past the point of competing in the Olympics or getting that opportunity. But for you, would it mean more to you to say you played for USA in the Olympics for cricket, or would it mean more to you to say you played for USA in a World Cup?
The Olympics for sure. Yeah, 100% the Olympics. I mean, I've always dreamed of going to the Olympics since I was little, so I think for me that's much bigger deal than the World Cup.
2028, I mean, it's still up in the air, and this is one of the things that a lot of people are kind of analyzing and a lot of scrutiny. Will USA get a spot as co-hosts? Will they have to go through a qualification competition? It still hasn't been clarified by the ICC or the IOC. But
Yeah.
for you, if you had to set your heart on something or have one goal to achieve, that's the pedestal you put the Olympics on over and above a World Cup.
Olympics is like way up here. World Cup is like somewhere over here. Like I put the Olympics way high. Like the Olympics are in the clouds right now. Like that's how high I put it on the pedestal. Like
And
that's like
be,
my life goal right there.
And because of that, I mean, just again, growing up in that US sports ecosystem environment, what impact do you think, whether it's you personally getting a chance to take part in the Olympics, if that can happen in 2028, or regardless of whether or not you're on the team, but what kind of impact do you think just having cricket in the Olympics, in particular cricket for women in the Olympics, if USA women can be part of that experience, what impact do you think that would have going forward in terms of fan participation, player participation, new people being introduced to the sport in various ways? How much of an impact do you think that would have compared to the impact that even the USA men have had participating in a T20 World Cup where again the visibility is not quite as big as it is for the Olympics.
Well, first of all, we're introducing cricket to so many more people. Like everyone's gonna get a chance because everyone keeps hearing, "Oh my gosh, Olympics, cricket! It's gonna be in the Olympics for the first time in like 100 years or something like that." So people are hearing of the sport now, and I think once they watch it, when it happens, they'll start learning, and more people will start building or catching on and start learning the game. But I think players aspect, I feel like it'll open a lot more opportunities for us, especially like as an associate country. I feel like if we do well and we're able to perform how to our best, I feel like it will just open more doors for like tours and just personal ambitions and everything.
When you say personal ambitions, anything
Or
in
it's like
particular?
personal, like their own tours are getting like, oh, franchise cricket. That's I couldn't think of the word franchise cricket and play more franchise cricket like around the world in the US, depending on how much it opens up in the US for women. Because I know the men's have a lot of things, MLC, minor league, US Open. And I hope the women's side also gets that. Though I do know minor league does have a women's cricket thing happening this year.
Breaking news. Tell us more.
That's honestly the most that I know. And there's like maybe four teams and that's it. I tried picking everyone's brains, but they wouldn't tell me much, even though I know people. But
Four is better than nothing. I mean, this is something that's
four
been,
is way better than nothing. I'm actually quite excited for it. I think it's in Dallas. That's my assumption.
but that would be a step forward. I mean, this is something that I've asked repeatedly the administrators who are in charge of minor league, major league cricket, when is it going to happen? What's the reason why it hasn't happened yet? And you get all sorts of answers. And obviously, the finances are part of it, which is understandable. But the other franchise competitions find a way, whether it's, I'm not saying it has to be in year one on the same scale as a WPL or a women's Big Bash League, but
Yeah,
WCPL, much smaller scale, but they're doing something.
yeah,
The fact that you can't just say, oh, well, if we can't have X, then and X is this, well, then there's no point in even trying. You got to start somewhere. So the fact that if it does happen this year, four teams, it's a step in the right direction. What would you like to see in terms of whether it's overseas player involvement or anything else from a structure or design standpoint that you think would help accelerate not just the growth of the women's competition on that side, but how it could impact raising the standard and quality for the U.S. players in particular who would get an opportunity to participate in something like that?
well, I think having at least international players would help like all of us like raise our game a little bit. And I feel like just having this competitive environment with four teams and keeping the competition very high and the standards high, I think that will just help all of us like improve our game in general. But I'm excited just to find more information, know what's going on.
Well, you're
I
not
just
the
want
only one.
answers.
I
I
want to know
have
more
questions
too.
and I don't have answers. So
Well, same here. I feel like
yeah.
I'm not doing my job. I got to find out more about this. Well,
It's
I
okay,
don't
me
know.
too.
All right,
But
good to
there's
know.
I think there's a few things happening. I know Seattle Orcas mentioned a women's tournament, I think. We'll see what happens with that one. I'm excited for that one as well. I mean, there's a few tournaments coming up, but I'm just excited for all the cricket that I get to play this summer because I keep hearing tournaments here left and right, and I'm like, okay, I need to start budgeting. I need to figure out where I'm going or who's paying for what. So yeah.
Well, that and also my understanding is you're still going through university. So how does that impact things? I mean, the one of the great conundrums of cricket in America is a lot of these things are last minute. It makes it difficult to kind of plan ahead. So as somebody who's still working their way towards a degree, how does the ad hoc nature of cricket scheduling impact your ability to choose which courses you're going to take in a semester or how many credits or whether you need to take a semester off and say, actually, if I sign up for a semester here, I'm going to actually wind up traveling. And at some point, my professor is going to say, you've missed too many classes. You got to drop the course or else we're going to fail you. And you don't want that going against your GPA. I mean, these are all things logistically you take into consideration from a life standpoint. So what's that process like for you as a student trying to navigate these things while also navigating your cricket journey?
Yeah, so funny that you say I'm actually taking a small break from school right now just so I can focus on cricket. Just because there's gonna be so much going on this year. But I remember last year I had a few teachers who were like, you're missing so much class. And I was like, well, I told you a few weeks ago. So I told you to tell me what was gonna happen. But then they're like, well, you're missing so much class. And I was like, well, I'm already gone. I'm out of the country already. So there's not much I can do. I can't fly back to fly out again. My major's been very supportive, but all my other classes, it was a little rough. There's a lot of, I'll do the assignments, but I won't be there for class. Yeah.
There's only so much that you can do, Giovanna, before the professors get pissed off.
I think a few of them were kind of annoyed with me by the end of the quarter, but I was also like, if you're representing the US, you would also leave.
But you're representing US in a sport that they're like, huh? Or at least some of them might be. I mean,
Yeah,
how much stock do the professors put into like, oh, I want to try and do what I can to accommodate somebody who's representing USA versus why am I bothering to accommodate somebody who plays cricket? I don't know anything about cricket. Why should I care about cricket? I mean,
I
it's
think, I
different.
think,
It's different from, if you're representing USA basketball or USA
yeah,
ice hockey or whatever, and it's
yeah,
a full-fledged like ecosystem with everybody knows who's that you're part of the Olympics or you're representing USA soccer. Keep going up to the soccer example and what you dreamed of. I mean, if you say, "Oh, I'm going to play alongside Tiffany Rodman and for the USA and the women's soccer team," they're like, "Oh yeah, well she's a millionaire. Of course I'm going to let you go off and
Yeah.
play with her, or whatever." But it's cricket. How much knowledge is there of cricket amongst your professors to appreciate that what you're doing is something that is justified with regards to making some flexible accommodations for you?
Well, I know most of the time our managers would write like letters for the school, but I'd always forget to get those. So when I write them email, I'm like, USA, 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 like every other sentence so they know. But I mean, I did have a class where I did have to draw because the teacher was just like, no, you can't do this. And I was like, okay, that's fine. But I feel like every teacher I've had would try to understand the situation I'm in. It would give me a little bit of leeway, actually. Some of them were like, okay, I'll give you an extra day just because like time zones and everything might be different if you don't know what your schedule is going to be like. So this is what you get. But I think everyone's been extremely, 90% of the teachers I've had have been very supportive of me leaving for a month and then coming back.
You said you're taking some time off now, so that's not quite as much of a conflict, and
Well, now I don't have to worry about that for now.
you don't have to worry about that, and you wouldn't have had to worry about it anyway if it's happening over Easter, the tournament you're going to in Florida again over the course of the Easter weekend. That's one of the things that cricket administrators do try to be good about in this country is a lot of the events are scheduled over holiday weekends to try and minimize the impact that it's happening in terms of interfering with whether it's work or school or anything else that is a lifestyle consideration. But you're going to be playing for the Freedom Flyers. Again, to remind everybody, in the inaugural American Women's Premier T20 cricket tournament that's going to be in Orlando, Florida from April 3rd to 5th over Easter weekend. So keep an eye out for Jivana Aras in that. Again, want to remind everybody that Stars and Stripes Cricket Podcast is brought to you by Sportsnection. Go to sportsnection.com. Use coupon code PDP 2026 to get 20% off any online order at sportsnection.com. All right, Giovanna, favorite 11, your favorite roommate on any cricket tour.
Snigba. That was the World Cup, actually.
Snigdha Paul down in South Africa. Your favorite thing about Seattle.
Not the weather. The Space Needle and the Seattle like culture.
You've been up the Space Needle then, or do you just like to look
I
at it from
have.
afar?
I can see it actually right now. So if I look out the window, I'm staring at it, but I have been up the Space Needle.
Your favorite city or country that you've toured during your international cricket career?
With USA, Netherlands, outside of USA, Sydney.
Netherlands, though. So last summer, that was your favorite
Yeah,
tour.
that was my favorite, I think.
Your favorite cricket ground experience anywhere in the world, and when I say cricket ground experience, I mean the quality of the pitches, the landscape and the scenery of the cricket ground around you, whether it's within the stadium itself or anything else kind of in the neighborhood, the lunches or teas you get served as a player that nobody else gets to experience, the training facilities, the practice facilities within the cricket ground, the locker rooms, the change rooms, everything that a normal fan doesn't get access to, but you get the ability and the privilege to do so as a player. What is your favorite cricket ground experience that you've been able to take part in over the course of your career?
Dubai, when we played at the stadium, the international stadium.
It's a
That was
pretty
probably
cool
my favorite.
experience.
Yeah, because after the game, we did ice baths, and then they had chai. So all of us would walk into the ice bath with like our little cups of chai and just drink so we wouldn't be too cold. And then they would be confiscated because they're like, you're supposed to be cold. But that's okay.
Your favorite cricketer of all time?
Elise Perry, Shabnam Ismail. Shabs because she was my teammate. She was a lot of fun. And then Elise Perry's Elise Perry. So
Your favorite non-cricket athlete of all time?
Alex Morgan.
Your favorite place to eat out on tour?
Anything that's available on Uber Eats.
Well, that's not eating out. That's getting the food brought to
Yeah,
you.
but
Come
that's because
on.
we don't really go, because none of us have cars. We're not old enough to rent cars, technically. I mean, I could, but I haven't because that's a lot of extra money. But
What about your feet? Walking. Come on. There's got to be something nearby, or
sometimes we're always in the middle of nowhere, and the closest thing is Taco Bell. And
that
I'm
could
not gonna say
be.
Taco Bell because it's not my favorite.
All right. I'll give you a pass on that one. Your favorite beverage?
Sprite, water, Sprite, those two.
Your favorite pizza topping.
Pineapple.
Your favorite movie of all time.
That's hard. Can I pass?
No, come on. You got to come up with something,
Oh,
Jivana.
oh no. I'm like blanking up every movie that I've ever seen, and I just watched it too, and it has Matthew McConaughey in it, but I don't remember what it's called.
There's a lot of Matthew McConaughey movies. He's been in more than one.
You know, it's a Matthew and J-Lo movie. That's all I remember, and it was when they were very young.
Google Matthew McConaughey,
Um,
Jennifer Lopez movie. It's the third thing that comes. The Wedding Planner.
yeah, that one I watched with my best friend. It's just been stuck in my head, just like random parts of it.
The Wedding
But I also
Planner.
liked it. It was cute. It was a little cheesy.
Last but not least, your favorite show to binge watch, whether it's Hulu, Netflix, Disney Plus, Amazon Prime, Paramount Plus. What's your go-to?
Grey's Anatomy or Bridgerton. I go back and forth. I've seen all of it.
Grey's is nearly as old as you are.
I think it's older than me,
Is it?
but
Now, is that based in Seattle? I can't remember.
it's based in Seattle, yeah.
Does that have anything to do with, do you have an emotional attachment because of that, or is it just you watch it to watch it?
I just watched it because I just watch it, but I think it's really funny because I know where they filmed everything, and I was like, these are very far apart.
Oh, so this is insider knowledge. This is something I grew up in New Jersey. When people ask me about The Sopranos, this is one of the things I bring up where there is a famous scene in The Sopranos. I think it's when Jackie Jr. gets killed and or right before he's getting killed and they're trying to find him. They're going to get ready to kill him. And they're like, "Oh, he's hiding in the Booton projects." And I'm thinking to myself, I grew up one town over from Booton. There are no such thing as the Booton projects. Booton is a very nice town. There's no projects in Booton. Whoever wrote this line clearly is just BS in here. They just saw
Yeah,
Booton on the map and they just said, "Oh, Booton projects." There's no Booton projects.
yeah.
So little things like that. If they're referencing something in some suburb and you're like, "Wait a second, that
I'm
that
like, wait a minute. No, not exactly. But it's okay. It's just a show.
Jivana Aras, thank you so much for coming on the Stars and Stripes Cricket Podcast presented by Sportsnection. Anything else you want to share with the masses that they don't already know about you that you think is worth sharing, or any advice for anybody watching this?
I mean, I could give some advice. Make sure you're having fun while you're playing the sport because that's the most important part. I just read a book and it said, happiness will lead to success, but success will not lead to happiness. So have fun.